me pull back. Oops, we've got a caller. Let's go to our caller. We've got George in New York. George, how are you?
Basil, how are you today?
Very good, thank you. How are you?
Good. Very good. Basil, thank you for going over General Electric yesterday. Greatly appreciated.
My pleasure, George. And thank you for the information.
Good. You know, and again, thanks again, as I said in the email, for all your tutelage you do all these years, because thanks to you, I've limited my losses upon entering a position, because what I usually do is that if I see it's undervalued, then I like to review it with you. So between the two of us, it seems to be working very well this way, and it's limiting my losses.
That's great. Thrilled to hear it. And that's what we're about here at TFNN, try to be as educational as possible. So, George, what are you looking at?
Today, I wanted to look at Dow DuPont, DWDT.
Trading at 60.19, down 65 cents today. Not as bad as the others, yes. So, what are you looking at?
Okay. Well, the theme is this. The company is well run, and of course, you know, Dow Chemical has merged with DuPont.
And DuPont is, other than GE, DuPont is the longest Dow stock historically. It's been there, I think, since the 1920s, yeah.
And now what they're planning to do is, and they have the approval from the board, is they will cut up into 3 companies going forward.
Good.
So with that said, I want to see where support is to add to positions. But I will give you one thing I am looking at, which bothers me, is the monthly chart when you get time.
I've got it right here.
Like it's a head and shoulders setting up, which I'm getting a little apprehensive of.
So, George, there is a one-to-one. You know, here at TFNN, a lot of the hosts use a particular technique which they call A to B equals C to D. And what that really is, looks like a lightning bolt. In other words, there's a straight down move, then there's a counter trend bounce. We call it a counter trend bounce because the tide or the trend is still going down in this particular instance. And then what they do is they talk about a measured move. I use this, and I developed a technique which I call Chapman wave one-to-one parallel extension. I like to have my techniques explain exactly what it is. And what it is that if you go from the all-time high in DuPont of 77.08, and this, of course, is a reconfigured chart, folks, because let me just see where this goes back to. This goes, yes, they merged the 2 companies, and this chart does go back a long time. Sometimes you lose the chart because they changed the name. In this case, they did change the name, but they've kept the chart. So Dow DuPont, as a merged company, had an all-time high of 77.08 back in January. It goes straight down, and it goes straight down to 61.27 in April, and then it has a real struggle, but it does rally back just over 50%, and it goes back from the, whoops, what did I say, the low of 61, and it goes to most recent high of 71.93. So what happens is I like to do this, and I draw in. Now I'm going to show this, and I'm going to make it really thick just for now. Style, make it single line, make it really thick in weight, make it their weight very thick, and make it one particular, there you go, and I'll make it a blue because blue seems to show it beautifully. Let me have a look at the Tiger Live, right? Yep, there it is. So that particular line to the downside, if I take it, and when I talk about a parallel move, what really happens is that the angle of descent is exactly the same, because sometimes you can get a one-to-one, but it takes a long time and the angle is very different. What I like to look at is the exact measurement with the pretty much exact angle of ascent or descent. And if you look at it, we've got that. It covers perfectly all the candles from January to April, and then it goes up, and then it covers all the candles, including candle of this month, going to the downside, and that has a projection of 57.49. I'm only making it close to being exact because, you know, if it's a one-to-one, but very often the one-to-one extends a little further. That's what I've noticed in the way I do this, especially with the parallel move. But at 59.11, and today's low is 59.01, so we broke it by 10 cents. That's the 200-period exponential moving average, the orange chart in the weekly. Now, if I look at the weekly chart, you will see that back in 2016, I think it was February. No, it was still January. January the 22nd, a low of 40.26 was made. The week before, it hit the 200-period moving average. That week, the following week, it made the low. The next week, it had an inside candle, and then it started a massive move to the upside with a whopping candle the week of February the 5th, 2016, and it went all the way to 47.64 after that 40.26 low. And then it just continued up in a beautiful up channel forever, and then it went to a high that was made back in January of 2018 in this weekly chart at peak F. So if I'm looking at that, I'm saying, hey, that says that this 200-period moving average, once again, now we are 2 years, 2.5 years later, almost 2 3/4 years, and we're looking at exactly that same trend line, moving average support line, yet the MACD and stochastic in the weekly chart are still very negative. I'm going to say to you, I don't know what you would do if you say you're nervous. What I would say to you is we are within, let's give it a little bit of room to the downside. Again, same as you saw the 3 weeks of that early January period of 2016, and say that 57.70s will be, to me, that would be somewhere around the 57s is going to be really important support. So I'm going to say to you that at this particular point, I probably wouldn't do any adding to a position. I know that you like to look out for long-term leaps, or you're looking, you know, in the distance. I'm looking at this and I'm saying, you know, DuPont, this is and especially since Dow Chemical merged with DuPont, which they were in similar but not exact as far as I understand it. DuPont was slightly different to Dow, so that they've merged. I'm looking at this and I'm saying together with the merger, perhaps Dow needs to reconfigure, and it's going to take a little time, and it'll be the benefit of some part of this economy, but it's not right now. So I'm just going to say to you, in the longer term, I'd hold off. I'd look at within 2 points. Let's just see how it goes for the next 2 points. If it starts to trade under 56, that's a much longer term implication. If it can hold 57, and somehow or other in the next 2 weeks we're looking at a Dow DuPont DWDP trading in the 61, 62 area, that'll be really good action. But I think we have to see how does it come out of this first.
Okay, very good. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much for pointing it. Good question, George. We're watching it together. George, down right myself, right? 300 down 380.